Hello, and welcome to Underlords Universe. And this is a place where we gather to discuss the things that inspire us to be creative in our own right. That's right, folks. We uh, we write and record music, and our bass player, this guy over here, Josh, writes under the name H. Prescott Lemon, writes fiction. It's a whole universe of stuff. And we've been inspired by all kinds of things throughout our lives. Um, and we like to discuss that stuff, and we like to share our discussions out there on the World Wide Web with like-minded folk. So today is a discussion of a short catalog by a I don't know, guys, would you guys call Flying Colors a prog rock supergroup?
Yeah,
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 Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think so. Prog rock supergroup. And for anybody who stumbled across this and is watching, they probably already know who's in Flying Colors. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't bother watching it, right? But just in case, we'll just run through it real quick. So the individuals that comprise Flying Colors would be Steve Morse, from Dixie Dregs, formerly, Deep Purple, um, Dave LaRue, also formerly of Dixie Dregs. Mike Portnoy, of course, who's played with everybody. Um, Neil Morse, formerly of Spock's Beard, and Casey McPherson from Alpha Rev. So that combination of guys got together some time ago, did an album. It was produced by, the first album was produced by Peter Collins, right there. And then the subsequent two albums were self-produced. And so I've been a couple of months back. I was kind of getting into a Flying Colors mood, and I just thought to myself, I wonder what Brent and Josh, how they would rate these albums. So that's what we're here to discuss, how we're going to rank and rate these albums. And before we do that, we should probably just do a quick mention of our system. So Brent and Josh and I use a system. We rate each song on an album up to 5 points, and then we divide by the total number of points possible in order to determine a rating. Now, is it a perfect system? Probably not. We admit that. However, it keeps things fresh for us. It makes little surprises for us along the way. So, with that in mind, what we're going to do is we'll talk through each album first, high points, low points, and then at the end, we'll reveal to each other and to you, the audience, uh, what each of our rankings for this catalog are. With bigger bands that have longer catalogs, we oftentimes divide these programs into episodes. But with this one, they've only got three albums. We should knock this out in one episode. So the first Flying Colors album that came out, what year is this, guys?
2012.
2012.
Oh, right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
2012. When this when
Crazy.
this when this came out, did you guys jump on this as a new release, or were you guys later to the party on this one?
I
You
got it right
actually
away.
recommended it to me, and
Oh,
I was not familiar with a lot of the people, and you recommended it to me. And I remember I was driving on a road trip to Chicago, and I just bought the album on a whim because you'd recommended it, and I listened to it, and I was really taken with it. It's really good album. So yeah, that's my recollection of listening to it for the first time on a road trip.
yeah, okay. Brent, you bought it straight up first day buyer? Okay.
Yeah, I got it right. I got it right away. And it lived kind of in the CD player in my car for probably a week when
Yeah.
I got it. It was, yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
I got
Well, with that in mind, even albums that we love, we can probably identify high points and low points. So, with this debut album, are there like high points, low points that you would, pinpoint as tracks that help determine the overall outcome of your rating? So like, there has to be, everything can't be a solid five on this, right? Or is that possible?
no.
Okay.
Josh, do you want to go first?
Sure. One thing about this album that really jumped at me is the consistency of it. I With this album, to me, there's not a lot of high points and low points. It's very, very stable through from start to finish. Um, so I only have one five, which is the last track,
Mm.
Infinite Fire, which
Hmm.
is great. I have a couple of 4.5s. I like Kayla. Kayla's always been a song I love, so 4.5 on that. Everything Changes was a 4.5.
Mm.
And oddly enough, one of the things you called them a prog rock supergroup, they're almost in a weird way prog pop
Prog pop.
because
Yeah.
there's something really slick and very commercial, even though it really is prog. And I
Hmm.
love that about them. And so the song Fool in My Heart, which I think Mike Portnoy sings,
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
um, it's a really poppy song, but I actually really love it. It's just a really catchy, cool tune. And that's not the last time you're going to hear me say something like that.
No, I agree. I wouldn't give Fool in My Heart a five, but I like it. I think it's a good song. And in my notes, I have nice to hear Mike do a lead vocal.
Yeah,
I don't think he has the voice that can carry a full band, but he's got a good voice, and I like his voice.
yeah,
And he's got that kind of voice where, it is cool to have him do some lead, either lead bits in parts of songs, or in this case, the lead for the whole song. I think that was really cool. So yeah, to me, I think Kayla is one of the high points. Speaking of Mike, his drumming at the end of Kayla is
oh
just
yeah,
that's just
monster.
oh it's just yeah, it's just incredible. Is it a little overdone maybe? Yeah, maybe, but I like it. I like it for that reason. Um the like if I had to pick one song, if I was forced to only pick one song from this album that was the absolute high, to me it'd be Forever and a Days. I absolutely
I
love.
gave that a 4.5. I
Did
gave
you?
that a 4.5. That's a great song.
Yeah, I give it a five as well. But Brent, I saw you doing, yeah, five. But here's the thing, I do have one problem with it though. And that is that for whatever reason, in whatever car I have owned, I've owned a couple cars since this album came out. When the chorus to Forever and a Days kicks in, it's like the bass frequencies just overpower. And
Hmm.
it's like, gosh, what's the deal with the mix? Now, I also use these bone conducting headphones, like at the gym and stuff. And it sounds fantastic on these. It doesn't have that effect. So that's my one little gripe about that song. It kind of depends on what system I'm listening to it on. But as a composition, I think it's phenomenal. And there's a live version of it out there that's fantastic as well. But
Yeah.
um, my low point, I'm interested to see what your low points are. But Brent, you're kind of like gesturing. You seem to agree on some of those high points, but do you have any different high points? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So I agree. Yeah, Forever and a Days is one of my favorite songs on the record. Let's talk about Dave's bass work on that song.
Oh yeah.
Come on,
Dave
man.
is, I love Dave's bass work. He's kind of
Wow.
overlooked in the supergroup,
Yeah.
maybe, or as a bass player in general, but he is so melodic. And we'll get into some of the other albums, some of the things he does, but just from a melodic, tasteful, but really, really just great bass
Oh
player.
yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal bass player.
Yeah.
But on Forever and a Days, he's funking it up.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
He's
yeah,
getting slaps
yeah,
in there and just, that song's like in the chorus, Casey's vocal on that track is just unbelievably good. So that's a standout.
Hmm.
I love Infinite Fire. That's another 5-star song for me. I
mm,
love Blue Ocean. That's a 5-star song. The beginning is stupid. I don't like the talking intro. When I first heard that, I was like really annoyed. I'm still annoyed when I hear it, but I still give the song 5 stars.
from the
And
topping or stopping.
From the
so,
topping, they're stopping.
yeah, I can't condone that behavior.
Okay.
Um, and another song I really really like that you guys haven't mentioned is "The Storm." I give that 4.5 stars.
I gave that four. It's a really good song.
Yeah,
It's
I
a good
like it.
song.
I agree with Josh's comment that the record is really consistent. And I do have quite a number of songs that are in the 3 to 3.5 range. So there's nothing that I really don't like. There's one track, if I had to pick a least favorite, it would be Shoulda, Coulda, Woulda. Number one, the title is extremely stupid. And musically it doesn't do a whole lot for me. There's nothing. My criteria is that there has to be something in the song musically that I really don't like in order for me to drop anything below a 3. Nothing on this record meets that criteria, but that would be my least favorite track if I had to
You
pick.
know, it's interesting you mentioned that because shoulda, coulda, woulda is one that if you would have just, I think when I was going in this, I was like, yeah, I don't think so. That's really not a favorite track. But I still gave it a 4. After listening to it, it's like, no, I really actually like this quite a bit.
Uh, yeah, I gave it a
So,
3. To me, it's kind of a middle of the road song for them. There is one song I don't like on this record, and
Oh,
that's
what's that?
which one?
All Falls Down.
Okay, that was gonna be my
That's
next.
that's one of the lower ones for me.
I
Yeah,
also gave it a 3, and that was gonna be my other shoulda, coulda, woulda, and that would be my two
Yeah,
least favorites.
I
I just don't
I
like
gave
the vocal in the chorus just doesn't work for me. Some people out there might love it, but it just doesn't work for me. Yeah.
I gave it a 3.5, and as I'm looking at it, I'm not sure why I
Mm.
gave it a 3.5. I think I should have given it more of a 3
I,
at
I
best.
I gave it a 2. It actually kind of annoys me.
Yeah,
But
I
aside from that though, like you said, it's otherwise it's a really consistent record. That's the only low point that I would pinpoint on the album. Um, so yeah. Any other thoughts on the debut Flying Colors record?
Sounds great. It's an easy listen, like you
yeah, it
guys
is.
mentioned.
Yep.
Nice combination of pop and rock and some prog in there, so you get a little bit of everything that these
Yep.
guys do.
And you can really
Um,
hear like the Beatles kind of influence on, songs in there too, which I
Yeah,
think some of
yeah,
that
and you
comes
can
from Neil Morris. So yeah,
and
money.
you can hear that throughout their catalog.
Yeah,
I'm not a huge Beatles guy, but you can certainly hear that throughout their entire catalog.
yeah. So then they eventually follow up with the sophomore effort, Second Nature. There's the cover right there. Nice picture of the guys inside.
Hmm.
Well, yeah. And I
And this is
it-
what, 2014? Is that when it came out?
yes, 2014. So only 2 years later. So they follow up 2 years later, and looking at my notes here, I again, this to me, this is a more consistent album, given the fact that I don't have anything that rates as low as All Falls Down. However, I don't have as many high points. I
I'm
do,
exactly the same, Brian. Exactly
okay.
the same.
I do have, a few 4s and 4.5s. I think Cosmic Symphony is just genius. Um,
Yeah.
but other than that, I'm at like,
really.
yeah, say what?
So, like, open up your eyes.
What about it?
Would you give it?
3.5.
Whoa!
I give it 4.
Wow. I gave that a 5. That's a perfect song. I love that song. It's one of my favorite
Yeah.
songs I've ever done.
Really? Okay. I mean, and of course, it kind of depends on, you know, from a rating standpoint, folks, what matters is kind of your own internal consistency. I don't disagree that it's a great song. I just think that in the context of some of their other work, I think that there's some stuff that just kind of hits me a little bit more. I mean, I think I could make an argument, open up your eyes. Maybe I should have given it a 4, but when I was listening to it at the time, I gave it a 3.5. So, um, if
I'm curious. So you gave Cosmic Symphony a 5.
I I think Cosmic Symphony is,
I would.
the album opens and closes with kind of those kind of 10-ish minute long, 10-12 minute long. Yeah, they're 12-minute long tunes. If I had to put the 12-minute long tunes up against each other in a battle, Cosmic Symphony would defeat Open Your Eyes a little by a little bit.
See, and I just can't say that, and I'll tell you why. And I
Okay.
love Cosmic Symphony. I love it, and that bass solo that Dave LaRue does in it
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
just unreal. And I love it up till the third part, pound for pound. That kind of
Oh
kills it for me.
man.
Oh,
I
really?
still gave the song a 4.5 because I think it's great, but it just kind of drops off after that.
Oh, see, I
That's
really enjoy that calming come down. I like
I, I love that. I'd give this song a 10 if I could. This is the best song they've ever done. I,
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know about
wow.
that.
that's the best song they've ever recorded.
Interesting. I don't know if I would agree with that, but
Um,
I can see why you would say it. I mean, because I do think it ranks up there for sure. So
Absolutely. That
It's
part
got
Josh
it's
said,
got it's got the greatest lyric in their catalog, which is I wanted to drink wine from the captain's
Dave there.
table. That's
Yeah.
the greatest lyric that Neil Morris has ever sang. I
yeah.
say that all the time. I'll say to people like, "What you want to drink wine from the captain's table now or something?"
Well, there is that, but I just think it's perfectly constructed, perfectly arranged. The vocal melodies are fantastic. Steve's playing is so perfect.
Steve Morris is, in my opinion, the most overlooked guitar player in the history of guitar players. His
One
lead
of
playing is, I think, absolutely my favorite, maybe ever. The guy's
his
is so good.
Well, and
his parts in Pound for Pound just again the hair on the back of my neck stands up when I
Mhm.
hear him play those little lead parts while Casey's doing the singing, and it's just that song is that is an example of an absolutely perfect song from start to finish. It's how it builds, how it crescendos, how it wanes, how it ends. It's absolute perfection.
So it's interesting because this is a good example of how we all think the song is one of their higher quality tunes, but we're just nitpicking slight elements of it in terms of,
Oh yeah.
just how high we rate it. So we all tend to agree though that Cosmic Symphony is a definite high point on the record.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Now I would also say Peaceful Harbor. I think Peaceful Harbor is a great tune as well.
Yeah. Yeah. We give it
It's
a
it's
four. Yeah.
it's peaceful. It
It
is.
is.
Yes.
I give it a 3. I give that a 3. It
Oh, did you? Okay.
was a little,
Now,
yeah.
so here's the thing. If I'm forced to pick ah, a low point on this record, it's gonna be Mask Machine. Uh,
Really?
Really?
yeah,
That's
What?
yeah. But here's the thing. I opened up my comments on this album by saying it's more consistent than the debut. This is in no way down there with All Falls Down. I mean,
Can
I
I ask you a question about that song?
yeah, I mean, I think it's a fine song. I think it's great. I just think that the rest of the album is better. But like
Is
because it was the single, like it was the first song that
it
was released off the record. When I heard it, I'm like, oh, this is great. New Flying
was.
Colors, great. It's just that when the album came out, I was like, wow, oh my God, the rest of it is even better. So
I love
that's
that
my
song, man.
that's my thing on that. So, but
Um, the chorus on that song is a little weak, wouldn't you agree?
um,
It,
weak relative to the other, maybe
yeah, I mean,
to the other, but it's like,
yeah, I mean,
yeah, yeah.
it doesn't. The chorus doesn't really carry the song. It's
I
like you get to the chorus, and I give Mask Machine a 4, but not because of the chorus. It's like
so
you get to the chorus, it's kind of like that's a little limp. It's a little
it's
milk.
when they get into the stuff where there's a little bit of like whoas,
Yeah,
that's
Okay.
so and that's kind of where it kind of starts to it
pull
does,
back.
yeah, it's an overstatement to say it's a weak track. I'm just saying it's the weaker song on the album.
Yeah,
You know what I
I
yeah.
mean?
I know.
agree
I
with
agree with
that.
what you're
So,
saying. For me, it's the
I
fury
agree
of
with
my
that.
love. The
Oh
fury of
man,
my.
that's
I,
a low
I
point.
hate. I hate the title. I don't like the title
I
because,
don't like the song.
and I give it a 3. Again, it's but if I had to pick my least favorite track, it would be that. I don't really. Again, I don't dislike it, but
yeah.
it's not.
Yeah, so
Um,
okay, so here's a question then. Like on this album, is there anything that you would skip?
The
no,
Fury of My Love.
I don't
Okay.
skip it.
See, and I wouldn't skip that. When I do put on the debut, I often skip All Falls Down. So, yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Bombs Away either. The Fury of My Love, I
Really?
gave it a 2.5, and Bombs Away, I think the comments I have under Bombs Away, I have the comment boring, and under The Fury of My Love, dumb.
Well, I can see that. And neither of those songs rated really high for me. They're what, three? Yeah, threes. But you mentioned Dave LaRue. I like his bass stuff in Bombs Away. It's not the most
It,
incredible stuff
with
he's
a
ever
band
done.
like this, it's never about the playing. The playing's always going to be
Oh yeah,
top caliber.
That's true.
yeah.
It's
I
about composition and whether they go to excess because these guys can be very self-indulgent. I just think it's in their
yeah.
nature, but there's not a whole lot of that in this
But they're
catalog.
really not. This band,
No, no,
there's not a
no,
lot of self-indulgence. I
no.
mean, like Steve Morse is again just getting back to him. I mean, his lead playing is absolutely phenomenal, but there's nothing self-indulgent or over the top about every note he plays. I think is perfect.
Well, I think
I,
everything is in service to the song.
Yeah,
So even when they are really showing their chops, it's not at the expense of the song.
totally agree.
I,
I think
I
that's
agree.
the hallmark of this band.
Yeah, yeah. So
Guys, I would add a place in your world is another really good song on the record. I give that a
yeah,
4.
I give that a
I'll put
four. Really
that out there.
good song. I think that one kind of surprised me.
yeah.
Hmm.
The thing about I kind of agree with you, Josh, about Bombs Away in a certain extent. However, when it comes on and I start listening to it, it's kind of like, oh, this is always better than I expect it to be. I just think melodically it's really good. I think it works really, really well. So, but I wouldn't say it's the high point on the record. So,
You
uh,
know, another track we haven't talked about that I came away really liking was
yeah.
One Love Forever. I think it's great. I think it's even better live.
Oh,
I think that it's fantastic live.
yeah.
Great song, though.
And you have seen them live, correct?
I have.
Yeah,
Yes.
in St. Charles, Illinois.
Yes.
Yeah, which that's probably something that will never happen again. I mean, never
Yeah.
say
It was
never,
a
but
great
I
show.
wouldn't guess. So,
I
yeah.
actually bumped into Casey McPherson on a street corner and chatted with him for a few
Oh,
minutes.
really?
Yeah, super nice guy, just super down to earth.
Yeah. Was he like, wow, so how are the Underlords doing?
Yeah, he asked, and I
Hmm.
said, we're taking to the top.
Yeah. To the top. To the
Yeah,
top of what? We're not sure.
the
But
top of the bottom.
the top of the bottom. Okay. Yeah, I like it's funny. Some of these it's just like we start talking about these songs and they start going through my head. Like you mentioned One Love Forever, and it's like immediately the chorus started going through my mind. So yeah. Anything else on the second album before we oh, because there was Brent, what year? I can't see on my what year did Third Degree come out? Because there was a
2019, I believe.
okay, because yeah, I think that's right. Because there was a bit of time off between as you know they did their other projects and stuff. So see that's correct, 2019. And I got the kind of deluxe clamshell version with the
Oh, that's cool.
additional stuff. But
It
we
has a coaster in
it does have a coaster. My coaster has never been utilized, either of them.
it. Either.
No. But that said, yeah, okay. So 2019, they put out their third album, which at this point, it might be safe to assume that this is the last album Flying Colors will ever do. I hope that's not true. I hope they find time to do another record at some point, but at this point, it is the last final album. Um, I'm going to start this discussion on this album with my low point because I'm curious. I really want to go into the low point first. And when I say low point, I mean I gave my lowest score on this album is a 3.
Mm,
Me
It is
too.
the only 3,
yeah. Ooh,
Me too.
and it's Geronimo.
really, man? Okay, we have something to talk about.
Oh, you, you guys, come on. You look pained. You look pained, like you can't handle the
I'm
fact.
just,
Oh,
I'm just, I'm not in pain. I'm just saying we have something to talk about.
okay. So here's the thing. Geronimo, the song itself, okay, fantastic bass lines. However, I don't like the pre-chorus. I love part of the chorus, except I really dislike
I know
the.
what you're gonna say. I know where you're going.
What am I going to say?
Whoa,
Oh,
It's the whoa whoa
uh,
whoas. It's
see, this
whoa.
time I like them. This time I
I do
like them.
like that. I like the whoas.
yeah.
Yep.
It's Geronimo is a really difficult song for me because there are elements of Geronimo that I would say are a five. But then there are part that like those little bits just kind of bring it down for me. So I'm like, okay, it's going to be a three. That's kind of what I said, and I'm sticking with it. Again, I don't skip it. I'm not going to skip it because I like it enough that it's a good song. But it's a three for me. Now, what did you guys rate it?
5.
Oh,
Four,
really? But Josh, what was it? Did
four.
you four? Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, I have 3 5s on this record, and that's one of them.
Wow. Okay. Well, what are your other fives?
Guardian,
Okay.
and then my favorite song on the album, Love Letter.
Okay. So here's funny thing, Brent. That
Stable, don't you?
that bass breakdown, with the guitars and stuff, and that is on Guardian. That's a highlight of the whole record. That is so good, so good. So I agree with you on that. I also think Cadence is a really, really, really strong song.
That's a
Um,
five.
yeah,
I give it a 3.
I
I
give
give Kate
Oh my
3.
God.
I gave it a 4.5, 4.5. I
And I
gave
give The Lost Inside a 4. Those are my highest rated tracks. Those 3 5s and then that 4.
I
And
gave
then
the Lost Inside a 4.5 Lost Inside.
and I give Crawl a 4. So there's a number of songs on this album that rank pretty high.
Okay, now um, You're Not Alone. I gave a four.
3,
And Love Letter, I gave a
Three.
five.
5.
I think Love Letter is a like perfect vocal harmony pop song. It's
Yeah.
just it's just fantastic. And I also gave Crawl a five.
Is
I
that a
think
4?
I gave it a five. I think Love Letter and Crawl are just the perfect way to end the last album if in fact it is the last album that they ever do. Um, But yeah, so my lowest score on here's a three. I got, I gave more a 3.5, but everything else is in the 4 to 5 range.
Yep.
I give More a 3. That might be my least favorite track on the record if I had to pick one.
I remember the advanced singles for this, and I think The Lost Inside and More were the advanced singles. And I
Okay.
remember hearing them by themselves, just like as a single standalone track, like streaming them and just being like, I don't know, man, this is not really doing it for me. But then I think that that's kind of a testament to when you get the album, and that's why album oriented music is so important because in the context of the album, I love those songs. I gave them both fours. I think they're a great way to start the album. Um, yeah. Then you move into Cadence, Guardian, Last Train Home, which are all fives for me.
Okay.
I mean, just those songs are so freaking good.
I gave
Um,
I gave Cadence 4.5 and Guardian Last Stream Home fours. So yeah.
wow. No, those are that's to me, that is like the perfect like those three songs back to back to back. That's like just stellar.
See, and I don't disagree, but if I had to pick a chunk of three tunes, I would say You're Not Alone, Love Letter, and Crawl.
Love Letter is such an interesting song because again, we talked about, they're almost a prog pop group,
Yeah.
and that's like a perfect pop song. It's
Mm-hmm.
not really my musical homeland, so I don't know if I can quite give it a five,
Mm,
but at the same time, I love it. And it's such a great song, and it's such a great pop song that
mhm.
someone who likes prog and heavier music, that song can come on and I just love it.
That there's just hooks. There's one hook after another with that song.
Yeah.
Whether it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
the vocal melody, just the bouncy rhythm of the song. It's brilliantly constructed, and their voices just blend so
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good point that they have voices that do blend really, really well. They
yeah.
they kind of lucked out when they put this band together in that regard.
When I talk about
Yeah,
Steve Morse's guitar playing, that's how I feel about Casey's vocals.
Mm,
I think his vocals are so good. He's just so I don't know, just I think if I was forming like the perfect band
Hmm.
he would be in like that top five for people that I would want as the lead singer. It's just such a great voice.
Yeah.
I really like
Maybe.
his vocals, but I could see that it wouldn't appeal to everybody. Um, it's a
Yeah,
little bit different in his delivery.
it's very soulful.
He's not a warbler, but I think Brian,
Nope.
you might understand me when I say like a little bit of there's a little bit of the warbling in it, in when he enunciates some of his lines. But I think the quality of his voice is really good. And Brian, you earlier mentioned Mike's voice, and when you have Neil and Mike and Casey together, it's as is evidence on Love Letter. It's a really nice blend of those
Oh
different
yeah.
voices.
Fantastic. So, okay, is it time to then do a reveal of the order, the ranking of these, how these came out for everybody?
Yeah.
Well, but before we do that, did anything? Because my ratings for me were kind of a surprise. Were you guys surprised about anything within the records
Um,
or?
okay, I'll say this. Um, I I expected all three of these to score using our rating system. I expected all three of them to score pretty close to each other, but one actually jumped out. And I'm not going to say whether it jumped out on the bottom end or the top end, whatever, but I'll save that for when we actually rank them.
Okay, Josh, but without revealing anything, did you have any surprises? Because I had
Uh,
a surprise.
a couple of minor surprises. I mean, again, I knew these albums are going to rank high. I expected them to be pretty close together.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, a little bit.
Yeah. And I think it's worth saying that even I mean, hopefully this is probably obvious. It probably goes without saying, but even the albums that we're going to put in third place are obviously albums that we love. It's just one of
Yeah,
them's got to
I
go in
love all
third
these
place.
albums. Yeah.
So yeah. So if anybody's a gigantic Flying Colors fan out there that's still watching this, please don't be offended. Instead, like, subscribe, and put your comment below.
Yeah, like just before we do the reveal, like the difference between number one and number three for me is like 5%.
Hmm.
So, and the difference between one and two is like 1.5. It's like 1.5 points. It's very close. So there's not a big jump between any of these records for me.
All right. So you ready for your number three
Yeah.
review? Okay. In third place, one, two, three. Whoa.
Whoa!
Huh.
Hmm.
Uh. We didn't plan this out, folks.
And we
So
never talked about it.
third place was Second Nature for all of us. Okay. In second place, ready?
Mm-hmm.
The debut.
Oh
Oh,
my God!
whoa! Whoa! That
And
makes
that
that
means
makes this very anticlimactic. That means that the number one album for all three of us is their third one, Third Degree.
this has never happened.
This has never happened before as we've rated albums. That's very interesting. Now, I will say, since Brent, you asked me what the surprise element, um, the difference between Second Nature and the debut was 2.7%. But the difference between uh, the debut and Third Degree for me was 10.3%. So there was a
Wow.
big jump.
Really?
Yeah, big jump for the third album. I was not expecting that. It's the way the numbers came out.
Yeah. For me, when I went into this, I was thinking the debut would be my favorite. Um, so I was a little bit I thought Second Nature would be the least favorite of the three, but the difference between the debut and Third Degree for me is like 1.6%. So it's very close between the Third Degree and the debut.
Yeah. I
But
I
it's funny, my favorite song is off Second Nature,
mhm.
Cosmic Symphony. So
I
there's that.
I just thought all three of them were going to rank really, really close because I like all three albums. When I think, okay, I want to listen to Flying Colors, I don't. I don't gravitate towards one album more than another. I just kind of go like, oh, whichever one I'm interested in at the time, you know. So I was kind of surprised that Third Degree ended up scoring that much higher than the other two. But again, I love all three of these records.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm hoping they do another one. I'm trying to think. I watched some interviews with Casey recently, but I don't remember when they were recorded.
Yeah.
I know that I don't think they've officially disbanded, but uh, it's been 6 years, and so I'm not really holding out too much hope for another one.
Well,
But it would
and
be,
certainly with Mike back in Dream Theater, that's gonna. So
yeah,
at any rate, if you are like I said, a Flying Colors fan, or you kind of like the way we do things, or you think we're nuts, put a comment below, offer your thoughts, like, subscribe, etc. At the beginning of this, I made a comment about the fact that we do creative stuff as well, and I'm gonna just do a little plug on that stuff. We're not out to make any money. We lose money doing what we're doing. We're not monetizing our YouTube page. We don't make any money on this. We're all professionals in other areas. Um, but before we get to that, Josh, any other last thoughts on Flying Colors?
Um, no, I'm glad you guys asked about doing this because it's been a lot of fun and it did make me revisit all the albums. Very, just listening to them kind of back to back to back, and that was really enjoyable, and it really brings back how much I like this band.
And that's one of the reasons why I like the system that we use because I'm it kind of forces me to go back and listen to things with fresh ears, as fresh of ears as I can get. So yeah, I agree. Okay, so folks, you probably noticed our YouTube page here is pretty low, lo-fi. We don't put a lot of flashy effects and things like that. We don't see ourselves as YouTubers. We're just kind of throwing the stuff out there and having a conversation with everyone who wants to join in. But we do a musical project called Underlords of the Overworld, which is a kind of self-deprecating way of saying we're just kind of masters of our own tiny domain, uh, legends in our own mind. What's the phrase, Josh? When you're damned to obscurity, you might as well be a
When you're
legend.
down to obscurity, you might as well be a legend in your own mind. And you coined that phrase.
Yeah,
You
I
coined
think
that phrase.
that's probably the only thing I've ever come up with that's worthwhile. So, um, but then, along the way, Josh, you've been a creative writer for a long time and under the name H. Prescott Lemon, started penning a series of basically like an alternate universe kind of fictional backstory of a band called the Underlords of the Overworld, which is a fantastic yarn. Um, and in the same universe, the OAO series as well. Anything you'd like to say about either of those series?
Not really. I mean, it's intended to be kind of fun, absurd, light reading,
Hmm.
occult comedies. It's hopefully entertaining, but kind of pulpy as well. So,
Hmm.
and yeah, it does kind of follow the arc of our own obscurity, and I think that that's kind of a theme that comes up a lot in it. So it's fun to have intersectionality between music and stories, and
Yeah.
it's just fun to do.
Yeah. And your newest is Smaller Than Death, which is a collection of shorter stories. And all of those can be purchased on Amazon. And
Yeah.
the music you can find on all streaming platforms. We started off as an instrumental band, so a couple of the albums are just instrumental rock music, great for background music when you're doing your D&D campaigns. Um,
Yes.
there are fictional bands and fictional artists referenced in the stories, and we actually did an album called Hell Comes in Small Packages, which are actually supposed to be the other fictional artists in there. There's, folk and blues and different things on that album. It's a little confusing, but we did that intentionally. Um, so, and our newest one is called Lottery of Your Life, and so if you
with vocals, with vocals.
Yeah, there's vocals on most of that album, and then and we did a couple things with a couple of instrumentals. We got Derek Sherinian to do some keyboards, which was pretty cool. Dirty Hands Make a Great Sandwich, and Waiter, There's a Demon in My Soup. You can find those on Spotify and other streaming services. We did a song called Ordo Abstrusus Oculus, which might be related to OAO. But
Odd
we have,
coincidence.
but yeah, um, and we have a vocal version of that with Blaze Bailey who did a vocal. So, check us out. If we're on Bandcamp. One of my projects this month is to get the physical copies up on Bandcamp. So if you're interested in buying a coaster for your D&D campaign, you can put your soda on
Prog.
coaster while you listen to. Yeah. Um, anyway, yeah, but we're just local artists, independent artists, just having fun doing stuff. So, um, yeah, it's about all I got on that, guys.
That's good.
Well
Call it a
done.
wrap.
Yeah, so that's a wrap. Please, if you're into this kind of music, like, subscribe, comment, blah blah blah, and thanks for checking it out. Until later, ciao.